My name is Maurice Washington. I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Executive Talk. Those who are watching live on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or any of those avenues, thank you guys for joining us today. Today's topic is innovation hurting you or helping you? Now, let's be very clear. Innovation has really taken effect of our lives. It's become normal. It's become easy. It's become efficient, so on and so forth. All those things that you would expect from innovation. But how is it coming to affect our business right now? That's what we're going to talk about today. Is innovation hurting you or helping you? Now, in order to help me talk about this conversation, I have Rick Callaway with me, principal of Pacific Diversified Insurance, business insurance. So let's go ahead and bring Rick on. How you doing today, Rick?
I'm doing just great. Looking forward to another good show, all about
So,
technology.
that's right. That's right. And just from a 5,000 foot vision, what would you say is going on with innovation right now from a business insurance perspective? Has it really changed the landscape of business insurance as a whole?
It definitely changed the landscape. All this technology creates more risk. You've got cyber risk, people hacking into all the new devices. You've got potential for drones crashing. You've got theft at the ATM sites. So there has to be coverage for that. And it's something nobody ever thought about before. So what do you mean
That's
somebody's
true.
going to hack my credit card?
That's true, and we never had to think about this. And I feel like that's where we want to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into one of those main topics of customer service. And I want to read this article from Forbes that just arrived last week. And let me go ahead and share it with everybody here and those that are listening on podcasts. Number five, what they're saying here is asking too much of the customer. As much as innovators like to think they can change consumers and teach them new ways of doing things, it's rare in practice. Often consumers aren't ready for change and are willing to make significant shifts in their behavior. People are creatures of habit, and it helps to either create innovations that align with their desired behaviors or pace innovations out over time so consumers can gradually adapt to new ways of doing things. Now, as I read that article, Rick, um, personally, it reminds me of some of my experiences now because I love convenience. I'm Mr. Convenient guy. But one thing I do know is I still have frustration when I can't get all the way through or get some of the answers I want, taken care of when I call other vendors for help. So in this phase, or do you feel like business owners are losing business, or do you feel like this is helping? Where do we sit with this?
It's probably a toss up whether it's hurting or helping, but you can tell it's hurting if you're losing customers. They're not happy with technology. And the worst thing is to have an unhappy client on these phone systems. It's call one to talk to so and so, call two to so and so, call. By the time I get to three, I'm so angry. I'm never doing business with that company again. The
It's true.
younger generation is used to doing everything, texting online, and they're perfectly happy with that. But then there's other things you can't have, just automation. When I go to a restaurant, for example, the
Okay.
business owners listen. I need touches. I want people to see me. I don't want to sit there and order my food at the check stand and then somebody brings it, or even sometimes a drone might fly in. I need you to take care of me. That's why I'm there. If I wanted to do all that, I could just stay at home and cook myself.
That's very true. Rick, you bring up a good point because you talked about a specific generation, and as the article was alluding to, even that generation, I don't care what anybody says, I still want personal touch. If I'm doing business and interacting with your business, I don't want to interact with technology as much. I still want to interact with your business. And I think is that, just for people, it's just that feel good that you're taking care of me. Is that still just because we got into a new era? Do you feel like that? I just want you to take care of me. Feeling is still important. Do you feel
Well,
that's important in the
I'm of the
workplace?
opinion the farther I get away from my customer with technology, the farther
Okay,
away the customer is from me. So why the heck does it even need me? You need to
there it is.
combine the human element with the automation. The automation makes things faster, but I want to talk to somebody. If I've got, a question, I need to talk to somebody. Years ago, when we bought our first telephone system, this was 20 years ago, probably.
Sure.
The salesman kept pushing the automated attendant. Yeah, they can dial in and push one and push two. I said, no, I want a real person to answer the phone every time a client calls, because people don't call insurance companies because they're happy. They've got a premium increase, they've got a
Okay.
claim. So the last thing I want to do is stick them in voicemail, Joe. So they're so angry by the time they get to someone, you can't even calm them down to deal with the problem. You have to combine the human with the automation.
I like it. I like it. So that is the number one point with this one, business owners. When is innovation hurting you or helping you, combine it so that way it's not hurting you. It's the best of both worlds, it sounds like. Um, Rick, I want to take everybody to this place because I know right now a lot of business owners, COVID has even shifted us into a whole different category where we never really had the circumstance where um, employees had the choice to work from home. If you were able to work from home, it's because you had your own business. But now COVID put us in the place where if you're going to be in business, you may need to be able to work from home and also work from the office if necessary. But I feel like that has created a different landscape from an insurance perspective. Would that be true?
Absolutely. Allowing employees to work from home has notable perks for the small business owner. It's including a satisfied workforce, cutting down on office expenses. However, all of these telecommuting fanfare, there are still potential liabilities considered, especially when you have your folks at home. You need to do something to ensure that their homes are safe and ready, set up for business. Be a lookout for the little things like the fire extinguishers, the
Mm,
smoke detectors. Make sure there's space. You can even go to the point of having them take a picture of their office space so you have something for records, because nowadays you've got to document everything you do. We'd love the employees to have a designated workspace. They're probably not accomplish a whole lot of work sitting in the couch with their laptop watching TV.
yeah, that's very true.
Now we've got
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. This is good
got
stuff. Go ahead.
extra cyber risk too,
Yeah,
because
that's right. That's right.
at the office it was all protected. At home, it's a different animal.
Yeah, that's right. Because now you're dealing with that person's home network versus the office network, right?
Absolutely. At the office, I got all those programs on there to stop hackers from getting in, but at home, the normal person doesn't do that, so you have to make sure you have it installed. And
That's
then
it.
you've got
And
big
no, I
risk.
want to let me throw this out here, Rick, and yeah, keep going in a second here. But here's something that we should think about: is let's say you have children, let's say you have teenagers or somebody, and nowadays a lot of kids do a lot of gaming. So that's also part of that internet base, and it could be open another open door for that cybersecurity. So
Yep,
think
and
about
that they probably come in through gaming as much as anything else, because you
it. Yeah,
use such a wide bandwidth for gaming, and the
that's right.
kids aren't. You know, if I was a kid playing a game, I'd be worried about playing the game, not worried about if somebody's trying to hack into the system.
That's right.
And then the constantly on the computer and all that, you've got the workers' comp potential injuries for carpal tunnel syndrome. But there's an interesting lawsuit back in 2011
Okay.
called Sandberg versus J.C. Penney. The court eventually decided in favor of an employee who tripped over her own dog in her home while retrieving fabric samples from the garage. She ended up receiving workers' compensation because she was considered being in the process of working for her employer at the time she sustained the injury. Personally, I think it was your house, your dog. Why am I paying for your clumsiness?
Absolutely.
That's not what the law said. The law says so you have to have remind the employee they have to be safe. It's like anything else. Training, training, training. You have to remind people don't plan to have injuries. Just stuff happens. So you need
That's
to
it.
continually remind them to be careful, be safe. If you need something, let us know. Enjoy being able to work from home.
I love it. I love it. So I want to throw this out here and share this with you. This is something I found also interesting. Um, Ensure the homeowner's policies up to date. Require employees to check their homeowner's insurance coverage. This ensures that their homes and property will be covered in the event of damage done during work hours. Have your employees supply you with documentation regarding this and keep it on file. Now, the reason why this stood out to me, number one, because of your conversation, but number two, business owners don't typically keep homeowners' information on file as a normal business practice. So
Right.
now, how does a business owner ask an employee, "Hey, can I get a copy of your homeowner's insurance policy?" I mean, how does that
Well,
happen?
you're right. They don't keep it. And thanks to this wonderful revelation, I now get to spend my evenings reading homeowners insurance policies. It's not so difficult to ask the employees for your homeowners policy because you're doing it to protect them. Make sure
Right.
that if while they're working in their home, there's not an exclusion that keeps them from getting paid for a fire or whatever. So I'm busy checking homeowners policies, and I'm sure they're all going to be revised to exclude because the insurance companies are going to say, "No, it's a homeowners deal. You pay for it. No, it's a business. You pay for it." So I get the pleasure of making sure they've got the right coverage.
And that's it. You said something key right there. Besides having the right coverage, but there is do and this could be rhetorical, but does business insurance usually commonly agree with homeowners policies? Do they end up butting heads?
Now they probably end up butting heads. Insurance doesn't synchronize very well because the
Yeah,
homeowners guy is planning on insuring a normal home operation.
yeah,
Business policy is considered insuring a business policy. We may be able to cover all that. We may have to add those locations to the current business policy to pick up their property, but that's created an interesting situation that I never even thought of. And I just put remote 40 some odd people. I said, man, I
yeah.
got 40 policies to read. Thank you for the headache in finding that article.
Hey man, just here to help you out, right? That's nothing but love.
I appreciate it.
Oh man, hey, look, earlier in the conversation, you had brought up this, some of the innovations, and you had spoke about like ATM machines. So ultimately, one thing that we have excluded and that we're, I don't know, numb to per se, because it's been part of us for so long, which is kiosks. How long have kiosks been around, and how evolved have they become, Rick? In
Well,
your
we think they're a modern convenience. The first kiosk self dispenser was actually in Greece for
okay,
dispensing holy water. In 1515, an inventor put one together to dispatch tobacco. So they've been
gotcha,
around for a while. Now, I remember watching in the movies the guy bend over into the refrigerator to pull his Coke out of the Coke machine. That's a kiosk. It was just
that's right.
mechanical. Now they're all digital. With that being said, the little slot where you put your card, ATM card, got to be
Yes,
careful. They're now putting what are called ATM skimmers in there, and they're taking your identity. So the
yes,
best thing to do is use the little tap thing so that you don't stick the card in or sit there and wiggle the point of service system and see if it falls out. And being in the insurance business, I'm also recommending you pick up an identity theft insurance. I was
smart,
fortunate enough
smart.
to have my card stolen. It took me several months and tons of letters to get it all fixed. If I had had this coverage, I could have said, "Here, take care of this. Pay my $10 a month, and you guys deal with it."
That's true. That's true. Let me bring up this article. I want you. This one really kind of drove me crazy based on what I read. But this is on Lightspeed HQ, and this is talking about pros of restaurant kiosks. So it's specific for restaurants. But I know we can have a conversation around this. It says some of the pros for restaurant kiosks is more time for staff to focus on customer service, which is good. Less human error on customized orders, increase of customer spend with regular upselling. So now when it comes to the cons, it says cost of new technology, fewer customer service touchpoints, and also resistance to technology. So as you embrace some of those key topics as the pros and cons, how do you, I don't know, how's the business owner navigate which one they should go for?
Well, first of all, they pretty much contradicted themselves. They said the cons are there's not enough touch points, and the pros are they've got more touch points. You and I
Right.
talked about it earlier. The technology is great, but you have to have the touch points. They may have more people behind the scenes fixing my order. They may get it correct, may not get it correct, but I still need a person to come talk to me and ask me about my food. How do I like my food? Do I need some more water? I want that attention. We're human beings. We crave the attention. We don't go to a restaurant,
That's right.
at least I don't go to a restaurant anyway, to sit there and punch little buttons on the machine and have it ordered. I've never had a waiter or a waitress that came by too many times. I mean, I go to restaurants all the time where the manager will go around to each table and go, hey, is everything right? Your food okay? People want to be touched. They want to be recognized. Why do I want to give you money if I don't even know who the heck you are?
That's right. Inevitably, I'm not going to tip you if I've never seen you. Come
Right?
and wait on me, right?
Right. And if you're a waiter, you need those tips. But now they've taken that away because having been in the business for a long time and worked my way up through doing dishes and getting tips, I still tip well because I know how tough a job it is, even though they're
Yeah,
not doing all they should. But it's not, they didn't decide not to wait on tables. They
sure.
were taken away when the technology came in. So technology costs you money. It may help you with customers. It may not help you with customers. You have to monitor. You have to see, gee, I put this technology in today. Why the heck aren't I getting as many customers as I used to? You have to monitor it and modify it. Maybe you can only use the technology for making them being able to pay faster,
Yeah,
something like that, so they can get out of the restaurant. But you need touches. Any business, no matter what it is a people business. You
that's
do
right.
business with people. You don't do business with machines. We use machines to help us, not control the business.
That's right. You bring up some great points, and here's one of the things. Here's one of my habits. It's not the restaurant, but it's also in the vein of kiosk. And when I go to get gas, I drive up to the pump, I swipe and go, get my little 10 cents in, right, and
Right?
then I'm out. Well, I remember earlier in my years, I used to go inside, which going inside prompted me to, oh, that Snickers is right there, or let me grab some water and the Snickers, and you know. So now my gas just, or my price and my cost by going inside just increased. So, do you feel like business owners are losing money? Is that what they're saying as far as losing money? Because I don't know.
In
There's
the,
this upselling point that I don't know is really jiving with me.
well, in that particular case, I took a look at it and I figured, oh, they got to be losing money because they're not getting that extra foot traffic.
Yeah,
But then I looked at there used to be little buildings with no size that you walked in and did this thing. Now they're more like a mini 7-Eleven or stuff. So I think there's probably some people at Chevron and Shell that are smarter than I am. They realize if we make this a destination spot in these
sure.
suburban neighborhoods, we'll get just as much business. People need some ice cream or a pack of cigarettes or a pack of gum. They've got somewhere to go to quickly as opposed to driving to the big store, which is miles away. So I
That's
think
it.
they've replaced their income by making it a destination spot and making gas easy for people to get so they get customers that way. The customer remembers, hey, it was easy doing business there. I'm going to go grab my quart of ice cream there.
That's
So in
right.
that case, they combined the human with the technology.
That's right. No, I like that. And speaking of technology, um, I want to shift everybody to drones because that's a new technology that has been out for a little bit of time, you know, um, but it's starting to become more mainstream. And I know specifically construction companies are starting to move towards drones because, again, it kind of helps their business model and takes away some of the human error. But talk to us a little bit about drones from an insurance perspective. Or has the insurance caught up with drones at this stage?
Well, you might say they've caught up because they never
Oh, we
thought
bring
they
going.
thought anything about it
Yeah.
because drone coverage is excluded from the normal policy. You have to ask for the coverage.
Oh,
So
gotcha. Yeah.
so they caught up with it right away. They said, "We'll cover it, but you got to ask it."
And business owners may not even know that they have to ask for it. They just feel like it's already part of it, right?
Right, because I'm going to instead of climbing up and down a ladder to inspect a roof, I'm going to fly my little drone up there. Nobody thinks about insurance. Heck, I don't even like talking about insurance, and I do it for a living. So why would you, as a business owner that owns buildings or does anything else, think about insurance? So,
Sure.
you're just flying a little drone.
That's
But
it.
there are safety issues.
Yeah, actually, let me bring up this article for everybody because I have a few questions for you here. So, In this pilotinstitute.com, some of the pros of drones are fun to fly. The cons is not everyone takes kindly to seeing drones fly near or above them. Another one is drones are cheaper and easier to deploy than manned aircraft. And then the con is drones can cause damage to property and injury to people. Last one is drones can fly to areas that have been difficult or impossible to access. Drones present privacy issues. So, as you hear some of those thoughts from that article, which one stands out to you the most and why?
Well, the safety one stands out most because that's where the
Yeah,
insurance comes in, and that's where people get hurt. The safety, I mean, excuse me, this safety is premier, but all the other things are important. The invasion of privacy, I don't know how that works unless you float over somebody's property and sit there and stare, but I don't think that would be, say, I need to get over to your property. How is that any different than an airplane flying from point A to point B?
that's true. Right.
And
That's
talk
true.
about, people probably think, they see their kids doing the little race car on the
Right.
ground, figure, I can fly this drone, no big deal.
Yeah.
But here's a little story that I thought was interesting. A
All right.
drone pilot doing a safety demonstration for Fox and Friends ended up losing control of the drone, crashing it into a nearby wall. Thankfully, the propeller guards kept anyone from getting hurt. However, the damage to the reputation of drones was just done. And remember, this is a guy that does this for a living. So
Yeah.
you can't all of a sudden go out and decide you're going to fly a drone and be, you know, perfect. You have to be trained. You have to use it. And I see people that are building owners using it more and more often because heck of a lot easier and a heck of a lot faster to fly a drone than it is to climb up and down a ladder. They're
Sure.
probably using it a lot in the fire service to pinpoint things, and that may be a safety issue. I don't know. Drone engines probably get rather warm. You don't want them setting off a
Yeah.
fire.
That's true.
Construction people that use it for certain things, checking engineering and all that. They've got the risk of flying that thing into telephone lines or electrical
Yeah.
lines,
That's right.
taking out
That's
the
right. I
whole
forgot about
city.
that.
So
That's right.
they're fun to fly, fun to use. There are dangers you have to be aware of, but
Yes.
use them.
So
Make
let
them
me.
safe.
That's true. That's true. And I have this question here because one thing that I'm understanding, and it sounds like to me, based on what you're saying in a lot of these scenarios, is that technology is just coming out full steam ahead. There's not a new there's a new technology probably coming out next month that we don't even know about, right? So, do you feel like business insurance is ahead of where technology is going, or is technology just where insurance is having to constantly catch up to insurance or to technology?
Insurance is constantly having to catch up because the technology comes out. As soon as you learn one technology, another one comes out. So
Yeah,
they base insurance on risk and experience of things. And if it just came out yesterday, they don't have any actuarial data to figure out what the cause is. They
that's right.
had a huge problem with cyber insurance. The prices went up, started off low and kept going up and up and up, and they realized how much money they were going to be spending. But that was the learning curve. They didn't they didn't know. They're looking for experience information so they
Yeah.
can rate it properly.
And I think and I feel like that's such a major point here is that since business insurance manages risk, it manages exposure as well. So that's the thing about this conversation is that technology creates a big exposure within your business model. And I think that's really where everybody needs to wrap their mind around is that yes, you can get the technology, but there's an exposure, there's a hole that can be created within your business model that creates a gap. I mean, with that, am I understanding that correctly for the viewers?
You're you're absolutely correct, and it goes back to somebody first getting a hammer or a shovel to say, "Hey, I can now fix this wall with a hammer, or I can dig this hole with a shovel."
Yeah,
You can get hurt with those things,
yeah,
and you don't even think about it. But that hammer and a shovel and a snake for a plumber, those were all new technologies, but they all
that's
had risk
true.
because if you used them properly, you've got a problem.
That's right. That's right.
That's why they don't give
So
me a hammer and nails.
that's right. They just give you a bunch of paper for you to research, right?
Right.
All I love it. You do well at it. So tell us what's the takeaway? What do you want business owners to do after listening to this show? What's the next move?
If you own a business, you need to pay attention to your business and work on your business. You need to be careful. You need to evaluate the risk you're taking, the drone or the automated kiosk. They're
That's right.
good for business, but they're not always the safest and smartest thing to do. You have to analyze, pay attention to what you do.
That's it. That's fair. Okay. But I would like to tell business owners this is in looking at your SWOT analysis, technology hits the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I feel like as much as a convenience and strength that it brings to the table, it also hits right at the threats, sometimes immediately. And as you just heard from Rick here, is that there's an exposure, which is a threat to your business. You spend all this time growing it. Don't allow those threats to just pop up. Really consider the technology that you're doing. Make sure you speak to Rick and understand the technology that you're bringing in and the potential exposure, and allow Rick to research and do those things for you. Because again, we're in business to stay in business, not to take ourselves out of business. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Rick, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to really wrap our minds around this, and we'll come back to you next month with some more information for the business owners. But in the meantime, we have to get back to work. You guys have a great day.